Hello, I'm Harvey, host of Franchising Brand Stories.
Hi, I'm Helen Venables, and I'm the chair of House of Colour.
Hi, I'm Emma Higgins. I'm Director of Sales for the UK and Rest of the World for House of Colour.
Excellent. Well, welcome to you both, and welcome to Franchising Brand Stories Season 5, brought to you by FranRec, the specialist staff and executive recruiters to the UK's franchise industry. And this is the show, and I'm going to do it where we get under the hat of some of the top brands in the UK and the world. So, what is this show about? This show is all about getting to look behind the brochures and getting to understand the wonderful people that are within these fantastic businesses. And it's for prospective franchisees. It's for somebody who's looking at investing into a business so that you can really become aligned and understand the people that you'll be working with and the people that have founded and been a big part of these businesses. So it's a really, really important part of that process. And we really hope that it helps you in your decision making and that you really find the brands that you're connected with. So the brand story that we're going to hear today is House of Colour. And as you've already heard, we have the wonderful Helen Venables, chair of House of Colour, and the fantastic Emma Higgins, Director of Sales for House of Colour. So both of you, welcome to Franchising Brand Stories.
Thank you, Harvey.
Great. Well, look, we're going to begin, as we always do, with a nice, relatively simple question. But what is House of Colour for those who don't know?
Well, House of Colour is an franchise organisation that offers personal colour and style services to individuals. We transform the way our clients feel about themselves. We celebrate individuality and we curate confidence. That's what we do.
Fantastic. No, I love that. A great description of it, and it's not necessarily something that people always understand. Sometimes names of businesses are obvious to what they do, and sometimes not so. So fantastic. And you're celebrating your 40th anniversary at House of Colour. Is that right?
It is. It's a fantastic achievement, I feel, for a British franchise organisation to be fighting fit and expanding so well 40 years on. I'm sure we'll come to that later.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Yeah, completely. And Helen, I've got to say, it's your birthday today. So happy birthday to you,
Thank
Helen.
you. That's very kind.
You're very welcome. Well, look, let's get into sort of just understanding. If you're a prospective franchisee watching, it's always good to sort of know, how big an organisation you are. Whereabouts in the UK you're based. So let's start with how many franchisees do you have here in the UK at the moment?
Emma.
So in the UK, we've got 66 owners. We have 7 outside of the UK, excluding the US, and we've got 383 in the USA. So we are a huge organisation and still growing.
Lovely, that's brilliant. And another question which I think is really relevant at this stage, because again, if you're here in the UK and you've heard there that there's 66 owners, already that have got their businesses, and you're in a particular part of the UK, whereabouts in the UK can you be found at the moment? Is there particular areas where there's lots of franchisees, and and some where you're looking?
So we have franchisees all over the UK. There are definitely areas that we're looking at where there is still some gaps, but we've got lots of owners down Bath, Bristol, Gloucestershire, Cheltenham. We've got lots of London and surrounding, the South Coast. We've even got all the way down to Penzance, one of our newer owners. And we're also based in Scotland, Ireland, and dotted Sheffield, Yorkshire. You'll always be able to find someone close. But of course, we're still looking, that we have some key areas we're looking at. Birmingham, Liverpool, Newcastle, Cardiff, any main cities. And we get a lot of client requests from these areas. So we know that they're busy. We would be busy. And I would also say Norwich. We don't have anyone over that way, but we get a lot of client requests that way as well.
Fantastic. Excellent. Well, look, that's really good. And it's good to understand sort of where you're at right now. And it's really important to understand that as a prospective franchisee as well. We have a little congratulations message come up here. It looks like it's come up here from me, but it isn't me. It's Simon. Put their congratulations on those 40 years. And it really is something to celebrate, as you've rightly said. Being in business, being in franchising, and being in those businesses for that long amount of time is something that's really spectacular. So well done on that, and that's fantastic. Look, we're going to get into the main part of today's story. But before we do that, if you have just joined us today, or if you are catching this in the future and you've only caught a snippet, there's a QR code top left-hand side. Scan that and it will take you to the full episode and you can watch at your leisure. If you're watching in the distant future, please put in a comment, because we can always go back and have a look at those comments. So please do that. And Franchising Brand Stories is brought to you by FranRec, the specialist staff and executive recruiter to the UK franchise industry. So let's get into the story. And this is the point now where we want to take you back in time. So Helen, perhaps you could share the kind of the origin story and where it all began for you with House of Colour.
Yes, certainly. I didn't found House of Colour. I had the opportunity to buy it with some colleagues in 2008, but I know the story well because I know the founders well, and I can certainly tell you that. So our origins were right in the early 80s, the 1980s, if you remember what that looked like. It's very different to today, but it's come back round. And there was an American company called Colour Me Beautiful, which is still a household name, but they're not as active now, certainly in the UK, as they used to be. And they had trained a few women who were working over here. One was an English artist called Carolyn Miller, who had branched out and was running Carolyn Miller image consultancies. And she had developed precision dyes for all of the coloured drapes that she used, that we use in the colour analysis. And she had really created some extraordinary intellectual property around our style profiles. And there was also an American woman called Shiona Fox-Netz, who had also trained with Colour Me Beautiful, and she was offering image consultancy services here in the UK under the name House of Colour, and she had developed some little leather wallets which had seasonal colours in them. And the two got together and they decided to form a company using the best practice from both of them, and House of Colour was born at that point. Now, those two then went on to train a few individuals here in the UK. There were about 12 that they got to, and one of them is still with us in our company today.
Oh, wow.
One of our top consultants. She's amazing, absolutely amazing. But it was obvious that they were going to come to blows, these two women. They were very strong characters and they both wanted to be the top one. And one of the women they trained, a woman called Lynn Elvey, saw what was happening, and she felt so passionately about the intellectual property that is House of Colour that she, with Carolyn Miller's executive assistant, decided to make a bid to buy the company before it all fell apart and was lost, which they did. And they've realized very quickly that the way to protect that intellectual property and to grow the business so that the maximum number of clients could benefit from it was to franchise it. So in 1985, they franchised the business then. And Lynn Elvey is still a great friend and mentor of mine, and we talk often about those early days. And they went on to be very successful. They had about 150 consultants, image consultants here in the UK. And House of Colour really began to grow. My story, I connected with House of Colour as a woman who had a third baby and completely lost the plot. I've since discovered that's actually very common. An awful lot of women completely lose the plot, having had their third baby, and don't know how to find themselves. And I went through House of Colours services, and that was the beginning of my refinding myself. It's a magical story. It was wonderful. But I also felt incredibly passionate about it. I knew not only that it was going to be good for me, but I knew that I was going to be part of House of Colour. I was going to train to become a franchisee. And that ultimately I knew I was going to own this company. It just was a gut feeling that drove me forward. And then in 2008, so this was 6 years after I joined the company as a franchisee and become very successful, I have to say, which was lovely. Christine Windsor, one of the founders and directors, became ill with cancer. And Lynn and Chris realised they needed to move their exit strategy forward and pass the business on again to protect the wonderful intellectual property that we have. And I'll always remember Lynn coming to me one morning and saying, I just have a question for you. Would you be interested in joining with 3 other franchisees? I'm not going to tell you who they are, and buying the company later on this year. I'm not going to tell you how much it will cost you. And I just went, yes, because I knew it was going to happen. I also had a very strong sense of who those other 3 would be, and I was right, and how much I was going to have to pay. So I rushed home to my husband at the end of the day and said, would you be up for remortgaging the house? And he said yes, so that was good. so we had the opportunity in 2008 to buy the company from Lynn and Chris, and that was a real adventure because I was a small business owner. I was a franchisee. I'd never done anything like this before. Neither had my colleagues, and we bought at the end of 2008, which you may remember was a fabulous financial crash.
Yes, I do.
What that taught me, and COVID taught me, is that this business is so recession proof, because actually I know not everybody gets dressed every day, but most people do. Most of us choose to get dressed in the morning, and so it's the products and the services that we offer are relevant to everybody every day, whatever the economic climate and the political climate is doing. And we've been able to meet the needs of our franchisees continually throughout that time. So it's been an extraordinary story and continues to be so.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that, and a really powerful and interesting story. I mean, I picked up on a few things you said there. I love the fact that you were a user, first of all, of the service, and at that point, how it made you feel. Someone said to me that if someone doesn't remember anything else about you, they will remember how you made them feel. And it's very powerful. And you know how we dress and the colors that we use and all of these things are part of how we're feeling. And if you're not feeling good, and you can suddenly go through that process and suddenly feel better, it's so powerful, so powerful. And then, of course, being a franchisee is fantastic because, again, any prospective franchisee watching this and they're now speaking or listening to the people at the heart of the business, know you've been through that process as well, so that you can empathize with a franchisee on the journey that they're going through. And the third thing I picked up on that I loved is that you knew you were going to own the company at some point. You know, you had that vision, you know.
Very, very strong gut.
Yeah. I read a book called Think and Grow Rich, and it's a very old book. It's sort of 1920s, I think it was written. And there's a lot of that about having that definite purpose and how powerful that can be. So look, thank you so much for sharing the story. Let's have a little look. We've got a couple more comments that have come in live, so let's bring those up. We first of all got the wonderful Julie Waits, and she's put good evening from the northeast of England. Well, it's always good to have you here, Julie.
Hi, Julie. Good to see you.
Julie runs a fantastic thing for the franchise industry called First Friday, and it's some really passionate conversations about franchising, so do check that out. Let's have we've got a good comment coming up from one of your franchisees, so we're going to have a look at that one definitely in a minute. But let's have a look at what Simon's put. Simon's put, fantastic that, as a franchisee, you were so passionate about the business and successful, and you were able to that you bought the franchisor out. Yeah, exactly what I said, Simon. Love that. I'm going to take that comment away because can't see you, Helen. You're hidden behind that comment. And let's have a look. Actually, let's bring up your wonderful franchisee, if that's okay. So this is Michaela Sargent. First of all, Michaela, welcome to Franchising Brand Stories. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. It's so important that as a potential franchisee that you hear all sides of the story, and to have some franchisees involved is fantastic. So really do thank you for coming on and sharing this. Michaela has put, as a franchisee, I love House of Colour and went through the journey as a client myself too, which was the start of it all. That's really interesting, isn't it? Do you find that of those, what did you say, 66 owners, do a lot of those come through the process of being a customer?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say the majority. I think we only have a few who were passionate about it before they'd experienced it, and then experienced it to join us. But most have gone through the experience and can empathize with their clients through that journey as well. I think it's, I mean, most people, I know Michaela has an incredible story, for example. We've got so many owners who have stories of how it's changed their life, and they wanted to be able to do that for people in their area as well. So yeah, everyone's very passionate about what it's done to them as well.
Love it. No, it's a great comment. In fact, look, I'm going to do that so that it's not blocking your wonderful face, Helen. It's blocking mine. I'll go.
Still see your hat. It's okay.
Yeah, people know who I am, even if I do this, so it's fine. But look, I love the fact that you've got involved. This is what this is all about. It's about a conversation between all of us. So please, throughout this episode, Michaela, share your stories and share your passion for this wonderful business as well. But look, thank you so much for that. Let's have a little look at. Let's have a little look at this, because we've just had one of your franchisees there. So I think it's a good time to start to think about who chooses the business and what type of people they are. You know, are they people that are in the fashion industry, or have got this, you know, artists? You know, who typically chooses your franchise business?
Emma, do you want to answer that? You're on the hot seat now, but come in.
Yeah, of course. So we actually have a lot of people from lots of different walks of life. So they're not all coming from the fashion industry or beauty industry. We have nurses, teachers, we have people who've come from very corporate backgrounds as well. And we also have a lot of people who are returning to work as well after maybe bringing up children. So there's a real span, I guess, of different people who join us. But we're really looking for similarities in that passion that they bring, and that they have that energy for the organization and for what we do as well. You know, business acumen's great as well, or I guess the willing to learn and to develop their skills is a big part. You know, we are a business. Yes, we do something really beautiful and really wonderful, but we are still a business as well. So we're looking at people who are like that, as well as also, I guess, resilience. I'm sure, you know, there's lots of people who are joining the chat, I can see, who will be able to attest to that resilience piece in terms of business ownership. It's a really important one. Clients don't really know about color analysis or style analysis until they're told about it. And you have to go out there and shout it from the rooftops and have your clients be your walking billboards. And, you know, you're going to hear no along the way. And this is, again, any business. I really cannot stress that enough. So it's just having that resilience to just keep going out there and keep doing what you feel passionate about.
Absolutely. No, I love that. I've got to bring up some more comments here because we've got some more franchisees, and this is just so important about this story, to hear the story from everybody. So let's have a little look and see what we make of this. Hopefully, oh no, I was trying to move this way as well, so that didn't happen. But there you go. Linda's put, I was a client in '93 when I moved on from my TV career. Interesting. Then trained in September 93 as a consultant and have built my business over 33 years and still love the effects it creates. Great to hear you, Helen and Emma. That's fantastic. It's so where did I go? It's so good to hear from, to hear these positive stories from your franchisees and to hear their backgrounds as well and how they got into things. Because as a potential franchisee, you can empathize and align when you hear, that's my story, or that's similar to my story as well. So I love that. We've got another one, a good one coming up from Janet Jones. But before we get on to that one, let's have a look at this. Because I think, again, when you're a prospective franchisee, one of the good things to think about is what that journey is going to look like. Now, we're not talking here the day in a life. We're gonna get to that one. But what we're talking about here is you pick up the phone and you're interested in becoming a consultant or an owner. And what does that look like from the point you make a phone call? What does that journey look like?
Yeah, so the prospect journey is quite hands-on actually. So people will either call or email or fill out an inquiry form on our website. And we've got a team who will make sure that someone gets a call within 24 to 48 hours to answer those initial questions. They will have received a prospectus, just actually saying things like a day in the life of and what the core services that we offer are, where we've been seen, what we do. After these initial conversations, we'll set up a discovery session with them. As members of the BFA, we are audited and made sure that these prospective discovery sessions are transparent from the beginning, which is really important. And I will do them one-on-one or in groups. So people have lots of options. Evenings, weekends, I'm doing discovery sessions all the time. And from that point on, it's a conversation. We're not in sales. My role is sales director because I look after lots of facets of a business. But actually, it's a conversation between two people, trying to understand what their desire is, what their needs are, and making sure it marries for us as well. And I do actually I always use an analogy that a franchise professional shared with me, an ex-colleague, Sarah. She said it's almost like you're wooing before a marriage. You get to know each other and you spend this time together and you talk about the financial implications of the partnership that you're going to have. What is the ethos? What are your values? Do they align with me? And then you make an agreement. And, like some marriages, ours is a 5-year agreement, but you can renew and keep renewing. So you're not
I
signing
wouldn't
up
say
for
that
life.
if you're about to get married, by the way.
But I think it's a lovely analogy, that
It
full
is.
transparency as we go through that process. And I will answer all the tough questions. I want to be asked them. People who go, this is beautiful, I love it, I just want to join, and don't ask those questions. I'm not always convinced that they're serious about the business ownership side. I do want to have those tough questions. I've heard it all. I'm not scared of it. So ask me, and we'll be as transparent as possible. So once we've gone through all of that and we agree, we set training dates, do all the paperwork, administration behind it, and get them on training. And that's really the prospect journey to becoming an owner. And then obviously there's the training aspect, which is a whole longer conversation. If you'd like to know, I could share that too.
Well, we're going to definitely get into the training. One of the things I think is really interesting, I mean, you said there a prospectus is sent out, a few phone calls, then a discovery session, and you're trying to understand whether needs and desires are sort of aligned, which I love. Commitment element of the ownership. Where does that fall within that journey? I always think this is really an important question. It absolutely sounds to me that you want to be completely comfortable and you want your owners to be comfortable with that where does that fall in that process?
Well, the commitment element comes to a point where I will offer an award the territory, or as a team, we will award the territory to an incoming prospect, and then we'll get the agreements and paperwork drawn up. The commitment is once we have the agreement and the franchise fee together, that is the commitment that you've made to join us. We've allocated training. We have lots of trainers that we coordinate to join, and that is really the commitment. But there's no push for this. So there are people who want to join at a training and don't, and we don't push, 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 push. We definitely set deadlines of we need to know by this date so that we can, at least a month or so out, we need to get equipment out and all the training that's, expected prior to joining our training sessions. But, we're not pushy with this. The commitment is as soon as both of those are done, then you can join.
So you have the perspective, you do your discovery session, you have some phone calls, you have time to think about it, and then the discussion is, are you right for the business? Is the business right for you? And that's the point that the commitment comes. Brilliant. Love that. Okay, that's
jump in and say something here, Harvey. When I started in House of Colour, I didn't know anything about franchising at all. I didn't even know House of Colour was a franchise. I just thought, I'm going to do this. I did not ask any of the difficult questions ever. I just ran on my gut. So there we go. I'm that one. But once I owned the business with my colleagues, I quickly realised what an incredible system, if you like, franchising is, because it has to work for everybody. It has to work for the franchisor, it has to work for the franchisee, the business owner, and it has to work for the client. So it's incredibly collaborative. There's always growth, there's always best practice, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful way to do business. So I'm always going to be grateful that I now know about it.
Absolutely. I'm gonna ask a question here. We're going to get to, I think, a day in the life, because I think it's really important again for prospective franchisees to understand what that day to day might look like. But I had a little question which I'd like to throw in here, because that's meant to say who, by the way.
Great, they're all having a great time. Yeah.
When they leave.
The reason that I asked this one is I think when you in my mind, when you think about sort of stylists and personal stylists and somebody who chooses your wardrobe, I think about high net worth individuals. People have a larger amount of money at their disposal for that. Is it typically those sorts of people, or do you have a sort of a mixture of clients? And do they have to buy very expensive clothes, or is it, can you find them in high street shops?
Can I jump in here, Emma, and then you can follow me as well? But having done this for many years, there's always a surprise at who will walk through your door, and there are very clear demographics within our nation, particularly. Some are those high net worth individuals who just want somebody else to do it. I had quite a few corporate women, particularly, who didn't have time to go shopping, weren't interested in it, just wanted someone else to go shopping for them twice a year, and that's what I would do. But the huge majority of my clients, I think it's still true now, are ordinary men, women, and anybody else. It doesn't matter how we express ourselves, who just want to feel good about themselves when they get up. When we get dressed, it's a choice. Every single morning, if you're getting dressed, you're making a choice about how you present yourself to the world. And we never think about that. But actually, those choices affect not only the way people feel about us, but how we feel about ourselves. And so you do end up with lots of clients who are just very ordinary people who've seen this on a friend. Emma was telling me today about one of our HQ team who'd had her colours and style done I think yesterday, and had walked down to the school gate to collect her kids, and all the other mums had gone, "Whoa, what happened to you? You look amazing." So it just filters out to anybody in the population, anyone who gets dressed, Harvey.
Yeah, I mean, I can empathise with it. I mean, as you know, you might be aware that I wear a hat, right? And I can empathise with how powerful clothing and style choices are, because I originally wore the hat as an extra confidence doing this thing.
Yeah.
If I'm bluntly honest, it provided something that was more powerful than the material that it was made from. So I think I really empathize, and I think people can really empathize on that. So look, fantastic. Look, we're going to get to a few other things, but I would like to come to, we've got two or three comments from your franchisees, so we're definitely going to bring those up in a second. If you have just joined us today, please scan the QR code on top left. That will take you back to the beginning. We've had a fascinating conversation, and we are hearing the story behind House of Colour, and it's a really good one. So if you've just joined it or you caught a snippet in the future, please scan that QR code and that'll take you right back to the beginning. And Franchising Brand Stories is brought to you by Franrec, the specialist staff and executive recruiters to the UK franchise industry. So let's have a look. Hopefully this one will come up and not block any of our faces, because I've moved us all around now. And this is from Janet. And Janet's put, hello, Janet Jones, franchisee for Chester and Deeside. I am a new business owner since August 2024. I'm so passionate to grow and introduce people to share my experience with others. Well, you've got some such fantastic franchisee validation, and there's people coming on and saying fantastic things about the business, and that says a huge amount. And this says a huge amount if you're listening as a prospective franchisee. So you've got all of these people that love and support you. I love it.
Yeah,
I love
thank
it.
you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Let's have a look at a comment here. It's big. It'll probably go off the screen, this comment, but let's have a look. So this is from Michaela. And Michaela put, I trained throughout 2023 and can't fault the interview onboarding process. It was honest and robust, as well as being friendly and feeling welcomed, and like you were joining a community. The training is brilliant, and for me, the support throughout the time was essential. I like that there is an aspect of accountability, and and as a family lawyer in my previous career, I appreciate the clarity and structure. Great. I mean, none of us could put this any better. This is making this very easy.
Yeah.
I just read these off. I love that. We've got another one which I am going to put up here, because we spoke about who chooses a service. Can, in inverted commas, sort of ordinary people who buy clothes from, shops that are a lower price, can they be involved in the process? And you said absolutely they can. And Michaela's put here, I buy most of my clothes off Vinted, which I love that, because again, if you're looking at potentially being a client here, which is often the road to becoming a franchisee, if based on what you've said, it's just really important to understand that you're just being given your style, your colors, what type, what sort of shapes, and all these different things that are going to work. Now, where you buy those can be all sorts of different places, can't it? And you can still make them work.
We've had 40 years of helping our clients build a sustainable wardrobe. And we've been doing that long before it was a trendy thing to do. Of course, it's vital now, and we all understand that. But if you've got clothes that fit you and look amazing on you, and that all work together, let's not talk about that, but that is one of the outcomes. You can build a really sustainable wardrobe, which helps you save money, time, effort, and of course is better for the planet. So we're just going to keep banging that drum because it's what we do.
Absolutely.
I just want to add, if it's okay, we actually have some amazing classes that some of our owners do. So they know all of their clients' seasons and what colors suit them, and also what clothes shapes suit them. And they'll host clothes swap parties. So
Okay.
they know what everyone looks good in. Everyone turns up with a bag and they go, this is for you, this is for you, this is for you. So actually it is about, we always say, shop your wardrobe, look at Vinted, like Michaela's put in the comments there. And also, go shop in secondhand shops. Sustainable fashion is so important to us. It's at the core. So we don't always go Gucci. That's not what we do. We work with our clients and what their needs are.
Yeah.
But if you were to go Gucci, you would only do it if you were going to wear it a million times. So it's okay.
Yes.
Mm. That's really interesting. I mean, it's a process that hopefully in the next few weeks or months I'm going to go through myself. So it'll be
Yes.
very interesting to see any kind of differences between what I wear now. The only thing you can't touch is a hat.
We were never going to touch the hat.
Excellent. Well, let's just have a look quickly at what Janet's put a couple of comments up. This has been amazing today. The response from your franchisees has been fantastic, and we're kind of going off topic, but we're going off topic because we've just got some amazing franchisees that are talking about your business, and this is all part of the process. If you were another franchisee particularly looking at this as a business, so I love it. Anyway, Janet has put the clients I have seen so far have been ordinary, who just want to look and feel better about themselves. Doctors, retired, working in ASDA. I love that. I think it's a really important message to deliver, because I think anybody I would speak to, if I spoke about personal styling, there's a perception that that is for an elite, and it's clear to me today that that's not the case. It's just about everybody and anybody feeling better about
It
themselves.
is. And what's really interesting, Harvey, is that because we've really expanded dramatically in the US over the last few years since COVID, and they're all over social media, there is a massive resurgence in colour analysis worldwide. Now, that's been led basically by our growth in the US. Not that we thought that, but that is what has happened. And so you're quite right. People used to think, oh, what is a personal stylist and what is this? But actually everyone, not everyone, but a lot more people have heard about having your colours done, and they want it. And it's the millennials and younger, they just go, when can I do this? What is this about? And I've always said, it's a life skill. It's like learning to drive a car, or any of the other things we need to do. You should know your own colours and style, because it empowers you for life, actually.
Yeah, no, 100%. We've got a couple more questions, and then we're going to go on to describing what the day in a life of a franchisee might look like. So Janet's just put here, House of Colour is like a family, there to support each other. I love my job. I mean, this is what it's about, so that's such fantastic comments coming in. Love it. Thank you, Janet. We've got another comment here from Linda. Linda's put, eBay works for me, for the designers that suit me. There's always the next hat. Well, absolutely, yes. And in fact, I have a next hat, in fact.
We look forward to seeing it.
Anyway, look, let's get into this. We're going to discuss now what the day in the life of a franchisee might look like. So you've aligned with the business.
I'm going to off Emma, but you can answer this one. One of the things I want to say about it is that this part of the joy of this is that as a franchise owner, you get to decide what your diary is full of. And we're actually really good, very supportive, and really collaborate with you to ensure that your diary supports you as an individual, because we are all different and we get positive energy from doing different things. And we understand how to help you create that lifestyle. So that's the first thing I'd say. And that's one of the joys. I loved it. I could do what I loved all the time. Emma, you'll be a much more sensible answer.
That's a perfectly sensible answer.
No, I mean, I think yes, you're completely right. There is so much freedom to the day-to-day running of the business. You have time with your clients. But what some people think is that 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, that's all your time spent with clients. But it's not actually just that. You're still out marketing your business, you're networking, you're doing the administrative functions of your business. It is a full-time role, but actually your client time might be a smaller percentage of what you might expect, because actually you're still building the business, getting your name out there. I think I mentioned before, clients are the billboard of what we do, but so are our stylists. they are the billboards for their business. So getting out and about, and one of my stylists was saying that she's known as the lipstick lady because she's always got this beautiful, bold lipstick, even when she goes to the shop around the corner or goes to the gym. And that's how a lot of clients, they'll go to her, why are you always wearing lipstick? And then she can explain the business. So it's just that piece of it as well. So it's always just being out there and working on the business.
Yeah, fantastic. That's great to hear as well, the flexibility. I think, again, as a prospective franchisee listening to this, and you're passionate about what you've heard today, but you can then fit that around diverse lifestyles. I think that's great to hear.
Simon's put a really good question there, which we haven't covered, and it would be good to, which is, what are the core services you offer to your clients? And I think as a prospective franchisee, it's important to understand that. So we offer 5 services. So it's not a just once and then the client doesn't come back. You get to have a lifetime value of your clients, actually. So we offer personal colour analysis. So that's either a one-to-one or a group session in your studio, which could well be at home. Emma can talk more about that. We offer a style analysis, which is looking at a human's body shape and their personality. So we not only dress your body, but who you are, so that it comes across with integrity. Off the back of that, there is a wardrobe clearing service, which is different in every client's case. That's quite an interesting one. And then there's also personal shopping. Now that could be personal, actually going to the stores together, or it might be online. And we have various platforms that we can recommend with links. And we also have a cosmetic line, House of Colour brand. So for those who want to wear makeup, we will be able to offer you ongoing repeat makeup sales, which is great for the franchisee, makeup that complements your natural colouring. So those are the 5 core things, but there are all sorts of other things you can do. Those are the core ones.
Fantastic. Great question, Simon. And again, really important. We understand what the business is, and we understand now the core elements. We understand the journey. We understand what a day might look like. I'm gonna come to one of my favourite parts of doing this, actually, and I think it's going to be really relevant in your wonderful business. You've been about 40 years. We always like to talk about. I think franchising does change lives. Helen, you shared a story at the beginning, in fact, how it changed your own life, but you must have seen some real life-changing stories, not just for your franchisees, but for your clients, probably particularly for your clients, where you've just seen, you can see it in someone's face, can't you? I mean, I'm sure there are lots, but do any stick out in your mind?
Yeah, there's one particular one, and all our franchisees have their own versions of this, but I can tell you mine. I'm going to talk to you very briefly about a woman, and we'll call her Claire. And she had been regularly sexually abused as a child, and that had resulted for her in just dressing in such a way that you couldn't see her. She was very clear. She wasn't successful at work, and she didn't have great personal relationships, and all of that makes sense. And a friend of hers said, "Come on, I'm going to buy you colour analysis with Helen. I'll come with you, hold your hand." So I booked Claire in, and her friend came too, and I was doing a group session. So there were 2 other women there that hadn't met each other and didn't know Claire or her friend. So 5 of us in the room. We went through these 3 colour analysis sessions for each individual, and I did Claire at the end. So she knew what was going to happen, and it was all comfortable. We had a great time. When we got to Claire, she was an autumn, so it means that those rich, warm, earthy colours that you get on the trees in the autumn time made her look amazing. And she could see that. And we tried some makeup on her from our range, which really complimented her, and we got it so she could do that. And then the third part of our colour analysis process is we put each of the 36 colours for that season, so in this case 36 autumn colours, round the client's neck and see what happens, and we rate them so that each client goes out with a bespoke individual understanding of how to do their colours. And it's an amazing part of our process. No one else does that. And I've got all the way through to colour number 33 out of 36 with Claire. And that colour is it's called Kingfisher. It's a beautiful colour, like a male mallard duck's head, that kind of beautiful rich colour. And I put it round her neck, and something quite extraordinary happened. So my mouth opened, her friend's mouth opened, and the two women who'd never, all four of us at exactly the same time said, "Wow, you look beautiful." It hadn't been scripted. It just was one of those moments. And she crumpled, absolutely dissolved into tears. I can't remember how we put it all back together, but we did.
Yeah.
And it was that moment, that drape, that kingfisher drape, that kicked her into getting professional help and counselling. She's now has a successful career in the NHS in management, and an amazing partner and family and social life.
Wow.
You know, the privilege of being, and it wasn't me that did it. I was just doing what you do, and we got to Kingfisher, and boom. So yeah, and we've all got their stories. Quite extraordinary. The power of
I love it. I love that story. Such a powerful story, such a difficult start to that story, of course, but such a powerful story, and such a good, strong ending to that. And, you know, for you all to feel that same way at that same time, you know, color can be powerful, I think, is the message that's come out of that. I think it would be good to get on. We are kind of coming to the end of this middle section, and we're going to be getting towards what's going to be happening in the future. Let's see if we've got one more, actually.
There's a good question there, which I know Emma would like to ask, from Julie Waits. Do most of your franchisees do this full time, or do they have other business interests that they blend together with this?
Great question, Julie. Great question. Yeah, go for that one.
It's a great question. So we have obviously been around for 40 years. So we have owners who have got a blend, and we do have some owners who aren't full time. However, with recruitment now, we are looking at full-time owners. The reason being is that there's an appetite for it, and how will the whole world know about House of Colour if we're not telling the world about House of Colour all the time? So we are taking on full-time owners at the moment. I'm always open to talking to everyone about their situation, and we do so much business planning. We can talk about what that looks like as well for them.
Fantastic. Great question, Julie. And look, it's been a fantastic story. I think it's a story we could probably go on 2 or 3 hours, but Helen has a birthday party to go to. And maybe we will have to do this one again, because it's just been such an engaging episode, such fantastic support from your franchisees, that we've told a fantastic story. I loved it. I really enjoyed it today. So thank you both. Let's have a little look at, we're going to move on to chapter 3. Now, this is when you give us the franchising brand stories exclusive. Okay. Now, if you have just joined us today, this is franchising brand stories. And today we heard what's under the hat of House of Colour, and it's truly been a remarkable story. So please go back and watch this one and let us know your thoughts, put some comments in, and we'll always get to those in the future. And talking of future, what is happening? What exciting things are coming up for House of Colour in the coming weeks, months and years?
I'll give a quick answer, Emma, and then hand over to you for the detail on it. One of the things that's happened, because we've grown so quickly in the US and we've learned so much and invested so much, we are ready to do that again. So we're planning, I'm not going to tell you where because we're not quite at that point, but we've got some great plans about international expansion, which is, just face it, is very exciting. And then Emma, you've got other things going on that we can talk about.
Yes, so there are other things that we can talk about. Apart from obviously exciting expansion plans, we, in the next year or two, we're going to be building a lot more retail brand partnerships. We partnered with some amazing brands last year, Uniqlo, the White Stuff, Astrid and Miu, doing huge events over multiple locations. We were in the Netherlands even with them, doing these events. So we've got great retail partnerships. We've got lots of new product launches. So what we would call new categories. So not something that falls within the categories we already offer. We've got a great team developing that. We also have a new web shop platform. So Shopify, if anyone's heard of it, a lot of the big retailers use it, and it is super easy, very intuitive, and it's going to make it easier for our owners to actually sell to clients and for us to be able to sell direct to clients that way. We've got a learning management system that's going to be launched soon. We've got a new print portal coming soon.
Wow.
We are building out these foundational pieces for our business owners to be successful. So lots to come.
Love it. Sounds very exciting, and I love what's coming. And thank you so much, both of you, for sharing that with us. If you have a look at the QR code on the screen right now, it's now saying House of Colour, and that will take you to House of Colour's website. Please scan that to have a look if you are interested. We're going to get on with what's happening next week on the show and what's happening on our sister show. But before I do that, do either of you have any final thoughts you would like to leave our wonderful community and audience with? I'll start with yourself, Helen.
Oh, just come and join us. It's the best thing I ever did. And I know all of my franchisees would say the same.
Perfect.
I would probably agree. Just send an inquiry, send me an email, let's have a chat. And I'm a client, I'm not a stylist, and it has changed my life, which is why I'm so passionate about the business. I present at work and personally in a way more authentic way than I ever did before. And I cannot tell you how happy I am just every day. So give me a call and I'll be as happy with you, and we can talk about the life-changing effects of House of Colour together.
Love it. Fantastic. Thank you both for your time and for your passion and for sharing your story today. I'd also like to thank everybody that's been here with us live today, everybody who's watching this in the future, but particularly the people who have been here live, and particularly the franchisees that have taken their evening to get involved and support you. It's very important, and really we do very much appreciate it. So thank you to you. So next week on the franchise show, it's going to be the Franchise Apprentice. We have a former contestant of the BBC show The Apprentice coming to join us. And we're going to be finding out all about that experience. We're going to be finding out about how young people are important in franchising and how young entrepreneurs are getting on. So join us next Tuesday, 5:15 GMT, 12:15 EST for that. And next week on Franchising Brand Stories, we're going to be finding out what's under the hat of Stagecoach. So please join us when we talk to the wonderful Lisa Stead on Thursday, the 23rd of January, again, 5:15 GMT, 12:15 EST. So until next time, my friends, take very good care. Cheerio.